Hey, welcome back. Bearded Brother Matt here, and I am back with yet another trade dissection. Sorry it's been a bit again. Life gets crazy. However, we are back to look into an NFL trade. Spoiler, two teams in this trade do really, really well, and one of them isn't in the initial trade. With that being said, let's cut down into the Matt Cassel trade. Now, some of our younger viewers might want to ask who Matt Cassel is. I mean, fair enough. Matt Cassel was the first heir apparent to Tom Brady in New England, back before Jimmy G was the backup destined to take over. Taken in the 7th round, Cassel spent his first 3 seasons as a backup, mainly on the bench, and only seen action in 18 games over that period, starting none of them. That changed in 2008, when he saw action in all 16 games and started 15 of them, after Tom Brady would leave in the first game of the season due to injury and then needing surgery. Cassel would start the other 15 games, going 10-5 with 3,693 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. I mean, that's not bad. That's a starting quality quarterback right there. And teams bellied up to trade for him. That's not the trade we're talking about. He would wind up going to Kansas City, and in 2013 he'd be released. And Minnesota would go ahead and grab him to back up or challenge Christian Ponder. Cassel would start 6 games that season, go 3-3, and the Vikings would go a dismal 5-11. The next season, he found himself as a backup to Teddy Bridgewater. Then, in the 2014 offseason, he would be traded. And that is the deal we're going to talk about. The deal was Cassel and a 2015 6th-round pick, 188th overall, to the Buffalo Bills. And in return, Minnesota would get a 2015 5th-round pick, 137th overall, and a 2016 7th-round pick, 240th. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it's what you do with the picks that counts. So let's hold off on the picks from Minnesota and talk about what Buffalo got. So they wound up getting Matt Cassel. Buffalo started him in 1 game, and from the stats I saw, he didn't even attempt a single pass. Got the win, though. He would then be packaged with a 7th-round pick in 2017, 228th overall, and shipped to Dallas. By the way, Dallas would use it on Joey Ivy. From Dallas, they would pick up a 2017 5th-round pick, 171st overall, that the Buffalo Bills used on Nathan Peterman. Alright, he wound up being cut after a few seasons. He's still bobbing around the league as a backup, though, so, I mean, Now, the other pick they used on Tony Stewart. Bleh. He also would wind up getting cut after a few seasons. So that's pretty short, and that's everything Buffalo gets out of this. Now, how did Minnesota do? Oh, buddy. Okay, let's get into this. So, let's go ahead and start with the 7th-round pick. The Vikings didn't use it. They traded it. It would eventually be used on Alex McAllister, but they packaged it with a 2016 6th-round pick, 196th overall, that was eventually used on Blake Countess, and sent it to Philadelphia for a 2016 6th-round pick, 188th overall. The Vikings would use it on David Morgan. I mean, there you go. That's not horrible. They did decent value out of it, I guess. Now, that 5th-round pick they got, 137th overall, they flipped that as well. They would flip it to the Falcons for a 2015 5th-round pick, 146th overall, and a 6th-round pick, 185th overall. So the 5th-round pick they traded to Atlanta became Grady Jarrett. I think Atlanta is pretty happy with that pick, considering the quality they got there. Minnesota, on the other hand, that round 6 was used on Tyrus Thompson, But the 5th rounder they got back, Stefon Diggs. Can you dig that? He played 5 years in Minnesota, posting 365 receptions for 4,623 yards and 30 touchdowns. He was also involved in what is, to this day, the greatest play in possible Minnesota sports history, and definitely in Vikings history, the Minneapolis Miracle. Sadly, like another star receiver the Vikings had, Diggs and the team would eventually reach a crossroads where they no longer agreed on things, and he would wind up being traded. Along with a 7th round pick, 239th overall, used on Dane Jackson, to the Buffalo Bills. Now, what did they get back? They got a 2020 first rounder, 22nd overall, a 2020 5th rounder, 155th overall, a 2020 6th rounder, 201st overall, and a 2020 4th rounder, 134th overall. Out of those picks, the Vikings kept 2 of them. The 4th rounder was used on Janarius Robinson. He has yet to play a down of football and is currently on the Eagles roster. Now that 1st rounder, that was used on Justin Jefferson. JJ! He's been with the Vikings for 3 years, posting 324 catches for 4,825 yards and 25 touchdowns. In that time, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, finished 2nd in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting, been a 2-time second-team All-Pro, a 1-time first-team All-Pro, finished 5th in the MVP voting, and won Offensive Player of the Year last year. Yeah, I'd say that trade worked out pretty well for the Vikings. Now, we aren't done yet. The 2020 5th rounder, 155th overall, was eventually used on Trevis Gibson, but not by the Vikings as they traded it away. They traded it to the Chicago Bears for a 2021 4th rounder, 125th overall, that Minnesota used on Cameron Bynum. Guess what? He still plays for the team. Mostly as a nickel corner, but sometimes as a starter, and he just had a decent season with the Vikings. So, good job. Now, the 6th round pick would eventually be used on James Proche, but it was packaged with a 2027th rounder, 219 overall, that was used on Geno Stone and sent to the Baltimore Ravens. And the Vikes got back a 2027th round pick, 225th overall, and a 2021 5th round pick, 168th overall. The 7th round pick was used on Kenny Willekes. And the 5th round pick was used on Zach Davidson. And currently, that's where this ends. So Minnesota won this outright. Buffalo got a couple of pieces, but they traded away things they should have kept. They got rid of things that they didn't keep. And in the end, Matt Cassel didn't really help them at all. Minnesota would wind up flipping a 5th round pick for a different 5th round pick and get Stefon Diggs, whom they would trade to Buffalo, and wind up with Justin Jefferson. I don't know about you, but to me, that's tidy work by the Vikings, and I think, all in all, they're fairly happy with the results of this particular dissection. Next time, we're going to look at the NBA. We're going to find out what happens when a very high draft pick gets picked by a team that he absolutely refuses to play for. That's all you're going to get. That's it. If you figure it out, hit me up in the comments. Let me know you figured it out. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and call this one here done. If you like what we do, give us a like, give us a subscribe, share us around with your friends. Hell, if you don't like what we do that anyway just because you want to hate on us. It's alright. I can take your hate. In the meantime, I'll tell everybody here, stay bearded. Peace.